Hi, I'm Rocco Stano, and welcome to StoryMakers. Today, I'm delighted to have Seamus Kirst with us. Welcome, Seamus.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, and you have a book. It's called Papa, Daddy, and Riley. So what's the book about?
So this story is about a young girl named Riley who goes to school on the first day, and she's dropped off by her two dads, who she calls Papa and Daddy, and one of her classmates asks her which one is her real dad, which kind of makes her upset because she never thought that she had to choose one. So she thinks about it and learns about other families and what different families look like, and not to ruin the ending, but the ultimate conclusion is that both are her real dads.
Now, why did you write the book?
So I've always loved children's books, as I'm sure most of the people watching agree. And I kind of started to think I could write a children's book, but I was racking my mind for different ideas, and I had a bunch of different ideas, and then I spoke to a friend who told me the best way to choose what type of children's book to write is to think about the books that you would either want to read to your children or wish had existed when you were a child. And I think this works as an answer to both of those questions.
So do you know kids like Riley that have two moms or two dads?
I do. I know a lot of kids now who have two moms or two dads. And when I was growing up, I had a friend who had two moms. And there were some books that were about kids with two moms, but I never saw as many about kids with two dads. So I know there are some others out there, but I was really excited to add to that collection.
So when Riley's classmates ask her which is her real dad, how does she respond?
Yeah, so that I thought was very interesting because it kind of reminded me of when I was a kid. Her classmate isn't asking her in a mean way. She's just a young kid, and young kids have questions when they see things they're not used to, and they're curious. So her classmate was curious and asked her which one is her real dad, and Riley gets upset because she never thought that there was anything different about her family until this moment where somebody's asking her a question, and it makes her feel like her classmate thinks her family's weird, so she gets sad and thinks she has to make this big decision. And then she starts to look at the families of all of her classmates, and she realizes that everyone's family looks very different.
So many of our viewers have many different types of families. And so what would be fun if you would share in the comments below who are the members of your family. So Seamus, you had a partner in the creation of this book. It was the person who did the illustrations. And who was that?
Yes, so her name is Devin Holsworth, and together as a team, we tackled the book. I wrote the words, and she drew the pictures, and she just did such an amazing job. I'm so happy with her work and hope to work with her again.
And so do you have a favorite illustration or spread?
I do. So my favorite illustration comes toward the end of the book, and it is this picture of the schoolyard where all of the different kids are going to meet, their parents or their guardians after school. And so you just get to see how different all of the families look in one shot. And I bet that for people who are watching this, when they leave school at the end of the day, their schoolyard also looks like this, with so many different varieties of families.
So earlier you mentioned that you had advice either about writing a book, either write a book that you wish existed when you were a kid, or a book that you would like to read to your kids. Do you have kids?
I don't have kids yet, but now that I have this book, I'm excited to have kids.
Okay, great. You have cats, I hear.
I do have two cats, so I can read the book to them.
Yes, and who knows, they may be an inspiration for your next book. But a two-part question, a book that you wished existed when you were a kid, besides your book, another type of book.
So when I think back about when I was a kid almost 25 years ago and reading a lot of picture books, I feel like there were a lot more gender stereotypes. And gender is whether you are a boy or a girl. And I think that a lot of books kind of more put boys and girls in boxes. For example, boys played sports and girls played with dolls, or boys wore blue and girls wore pink, and lots of different stereotypes like that. And I wish there had been more books talking about how Whether you're a boy or a girl, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
And whatever makes you happy.
So, Seamus, do you have any advice for our viewers here today?
I do. So I think this book would be helpful for people who have 2 moms and 2 dads, but I also think it could be helpful for people who have any sort of family. I think it's always good to read about families that are different than your own and to realize that every family looks different. And that's the big message in the book. It's a really important thing for everyone to understand.
Seamus, you shared a great story about Riley in your book, and it would be fun if our viewers shared their family with us, and perhaps they can draw their family and post it using the hashtag Papa Daddy Riley.
I would love to see the different pictures people draw, and I think that sounds like a great activity, especially if people do that with their friends, and then they can see how different every family looks.
So thank you for coming here today to the KidLit TV studio, and I'm sure many people will enjoy reading Papa, Daddy, and Riley. So thanks again, Seamus.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone for watching.
And until next time, read a book in any format.